All right, there we go. Bit of a false start there. It is Monday, March 30th, and we are standing by for today's White House coronavirus press briefing. We are about 10 minutes away from the scheduled time. Your guess is as good as mine as to what the actual start time is going to be. We may be 15 days from the peak of coronavirus. Now, what that means, I will explain momentarily. I'm glad everybody's joining me. We are live on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, as well as Facebook. We will be listening to the comments from the president today. No doubt my prediction would be that today a lot of the focus is going to be around the Navy ship docking in New York City and how it will now be available. Trump will probably wax poetic about how it was gotten ready quicker than anything anybody has ever done in history. There is going to be certainly a lot of bragging about how Trump acted swiftly and he did everything great. And then maybe we'll hear something that makes sense from one of the doctors, and maybe we will get some questions that make sense from some of the reporters. That's basically what we can hope for at this point in time. And these press conferences have widely turned into propaganda dissemination centers. And so what I try to do is to fact check in real time. When Trump says something that's not true, I try to tell you that it's not true so that we all sort of get on what could sort of be considered to be the same page in some way, shape, or form. I've got a few things that I want to go over with you. Of course, I want to thank people who are sending super chats already. Lee Douglas says, "Whose baby were you holding in the photo?" We've got a meme contest going on. It was a friend's baby, and it's being turned into memes, and it's very funny. Also want to say thanks to Alex Alinauskas, who has grabbed a YouTube subscription. Want to say thank you to I Am CompuBear for cheering on Twitch, as well as Epiluitz for subscribing on Twitch as well. So a few different things to go over. The official number of coronavirus cases right now is about 775,000, 750,000 plus a little bit. We are at 37,000 deaths, 37,000 deaths. The numbers today, the U.S. has added 16,000 new cases and 368 deaths. Yesterday, 363 deaths and 20,000 new cases. Things in Italy are still very ugly. Things in Spain are getting even worse. Germany continuing to have a high case number, but still maintaining a relatively low death rate. Although what was before a 0.4-0.5% death rate is now climbing to about 1% based on known cases. Looking specifically, that's the wrong spot. Looking specifically at U.S. numbers, we will pull those up now. Sorry, here we go. Officially 160,000 cases, and we will likely eclipse 3,000 deaths today. Remember Donald Trump saying that we were unlikely to have any deaths when we had 15 cases. He said 15 cases will probably go to zero. We now have officially 160,000 cases and almost 3,000 people have died. Note that yesterday Donald Trump shifted his rhetoric from saying that we may have very few deaths to saying that if we have no more than 200,000 deaths, he would consider that he did a very good job. My, how quickly things change. Here in Massachusetts, we are now approaching 6,000 known cases and maintaining roughly that 1% death rate. Of course, I know people where the whole family clearly had it. One person had a test and tested positive. That's like 4 cases, but it's officially only counting as 1. And also rapidly, Florida is becoming a center. And Florida is going to be a major, major problem. I was supposed to be in Miami today. I'm not, and I'm glad for that because Florida is absolutely exploding. Let's look at the latest estimates about what we are expecting in terms of peak days. Okay, this is a very good website, covid19.healthdata.org. This is a website and forecast maintained by Dr. Christopher Murray. We are trying to get him on the program. Medical doctor, and also directs the Department of Health Metrics Sciences. Very, very important. We are now estimating peak resource use and peak death day are going to be April 15th. Okay. Now it's really important to understand every day we get more data, this confidence interval, this range tightens up. So the midpoint of the range is the dotted line. This red area is the point of uncertainty, right? So when we get to today, we know how many deaths we had. You don't have this light red cone of uncertainty, sort of like with a weather projection, a hurricane, for example. This website, I see a lot of people want to look this up, and I encourage you to, covid19.healthdata.org, okay? Right now, this was updated from yesterday. The peak is expected to be April 15 with 2,271 deaths on that day. Now, the uncertainty tells us it's going to be in the range of 1,180 to 3,500, right? That could be the range. We'll see as we get closer. Now, what's important to understand is when you peak, that doesn't mean it's directly down, because April 15th is the peak, but the day before the peak, April 14th, has almost the exact same number of deaths. April 13 has almost the exact same number of deaths. So we are going to be above 2,000 deaths per day, according to this model, between April 10th all the way over to April 22nd. So the peak will likely last close to 2 weeks, and then we will see a descent. This also estimates the total number of deaths, and this is important, during this wave. When we talk about 200,000 deaths, we're talking probably about a 3-wave process where we will have this wave, we will have one in the fall, and we will have one in 2021. That's the expectation. This wave now, expecting about 82,000 deaths. But again, the range could be anywhere between 39,000 all the way up to 142,000. Every day we get a little more data, and that cone of uncertainty can be tightened up. Right now it's in the 40 to 140. There's 100,000 variants. Each day that variance will get smaller as the projections can become more precise. Very, very important stuff. And all of this assumes the same social distancing methods are continued. One other thing, you can also change this website. So for example, the national peak is expected to be April 15th. We can take a state like, for example, my state of Massachusetts. We started distancing on, every state has its own trajectory. The projected peak here is a day later than national, April 16th. We might choose another state like New York, which started earlier, and indeed the expected peak there is 5 days earlier, April 10th. This shifts every single day. Very important website. I recommend checking it out. According to this, again, New York would peak on April 10th with 800 deaths, but April 9th would be almost the same number. April 8th would be close. We would be at these peaks for a while. The peaks are not one day. They are long. And if you look, for example, if we believe that Italy has peaked, Michael Levitt tweeted yesterday that he believes Italy has peaked, you see that the peak lasts a long time. It's not been moving higher, but not drastically lower since March 19th. It's now March 30th. This has been roughly 11 days. The hope is that soon these numbers would start coming down. So that's the latest there, okay? Let me get to some of the messages that folks are sending and thank some people, and I have much more to talk about. Let me say thank you to ALH9700 with a Twitch subscription from Bordeaux, France. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Super chats are coming in. Joe Krockenberg says, why about Tara Reid? How does this affect Biden? I believe it's not going to affect him greatly. That's my instinct. Josh Compton says, love your show, man. Any chance we could get an Elements of Pac-Man or Elements of Democracy shirt? Maybe right now, let me actually address this now, because this is kind of a big thing. So in the first week of the shutdown, thankfully, we were basically doing fine. We weren't seeing a lot of membership cancellations. YouTube revenue was fine. We were pumping out data mail shirts and all of that stuff. In the last week, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's gotten pretty bad. So YouTube revenue is down about 40%, which is really, really a problem for us. Our gear manufacturer has shut down. So we're going to have to shut down orders because we're not going to be able to fulfill them. They're shut down because of COVID-19. Advertisers are starting to bail because they are for example, we have an advertiser that said people aren't buying our product because they don't have money. So we want to shut down advertising, which means we then also lose out. So things are kind of rough right now. So I would not expect any new shirts anytime soon, but maybe on the other side of this, we will start to do some of that. This is why I really am being sincere when I say that we really are mostly funded by people who grab memberships on our website, particularly now that YouTube's down 35%. So if I don't want your last $2, right? I understand what's going on, but if you do appreciate the work we're doing and can afford a membership for a couple bucks a month, go to joinpacman.com. You can use that coupon code 2020 now. It's very much appreciated because I'm not sugarcoating it. It's everybody always likes to pretend everything's exploding. Audience wise, we're doing great. The YouTube channel, all of the Twitch, Facebook, we're now getting 3 million views a month on Facebook. That's all doing great. The monetization has gone the wrong direction. And I get it. If you're on unemployment, you're going to cancel your David Pakman Show membership before you forego paying your rent. I totally get it. So I'm telling you guys the situation, and that's why I've been so appreciative of people signing up. Speaking of which, Jacob Johansson is new member number 1 today at joinpacman.com. Boom, there it is. Starting us off. Always very, very much appreciated. Okay, let's see here. Max says, name a U.S. president that would handle this worse. I can't. I mean, I can't think of a president that would handle this worse than Donald Trump has. And tomorrow on the show, I'm actually going to do a story about, is the U.S. actually losing superpower status because of Donald Trump's bungled handling of coronavirus? I believe the answer is yes. People are looking to Germany. People are looking to South Korea. Nobody's looking to the U.S., and Trump likes to claim that they are. But it's not the case. It's simply not the case. That'll be on tomorrow's show. Waffles Giraffles says, anyone notice Biden's Piscetti with Kimmel? Didn't see it. Brian Holiday says, I'm in Brooklyn, had to stop working at my parents' laundromat because I have symptoms of COVID-19. Please, everyone, stay safe. Yes, please do. What policies of Trump do you disagree with, says Alexander Jones? Almost all of them. Almost all of them. I think Trump is right to extend social distancing to April 30. Otherwise, I disagree with him on almost everything, and I have hundreds of clips on my YouTube channel explaining those in detail. Seamus Doyle grabs a membership on YouTube. Zach Bushman says, the deep literacy article you linked was great. Yeah, let me pull that up. I recently tweeted, extremely important article, highly recommend. This is a book, the title of this article is The Erosion of Deep Literacy by Adam Garfinkel. And it explains how we have a vicious cycle of social media causing people being out of practice with like deep reading. That means like, you sit with theory for an hour, maybe having to reread a lot of the same parts multiple times to gain a deep understanding of it. That allows you to then, when you're presented with problems in your everyday life, think them through. And when you look at someone like Trump, who hasn't read a book, I mean, certainly in 30 years, I don't want to say ever, he probably read a book sometime, but Trump hasn't read a book in 30 years. And then someone has to sit down and say, listen, we have this coronavirus thing. But to even understand coronavirus, you've got to understand infectious disease. You've got to understand viral math. You have to understand all of these different things to even get at the problem. Trump can't do it. And this is not about, the article is not about Trump. And so, one of the things I'm focusing on during this self-isolation period is I'm trying to get, I do a lot of reading anyway, but not as much as I would like to. I probably read 30 to 50 pages a day of nonfiction stuff. I'm trying to get up to, can I get up to 100 pages? People like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett say they read 500 pages a day. This is how the article describes something called social autism, and it's not a pejorative term, but it points out that you have so many high school students who lack the social skills from being able to sit down for 45 intense minutes with like a college counselor to talk about what are your interests, how do different colleges differ, where would you be a good fit, and it's a real problem. It's a real problem. And again, that term social autism not being used even remotely pejoratively. I want to be really clear about that. Okay, sorry for the tangent. Other super chats. Per Tiran says, if you compare Cuomo's press conference with Trump, it's like a balm for the soul to an acid bath. Take care. I would love to be doing more streaming of Cuomo and Gavin Newsom and others. We're just usually filming the broadcast show at that time, which is why I've not been doing it. But you are absolutely right. Absolutely right. Cuomo has been very good. And you know that now it's like the woke left is starting to tweet about, oh, we have live video. Let me actually get to that because I don't want to miss what's going on. It looks like this will be another outdoor press conference. This is, the woke left loves to just be contrarian no matter what. And so now that a lot of us are saying, hey, Cuomo's handling this like an adult, they say, well, but he also wanted this and that thing, some other. Does anybody doubt that Cuomo should be handling this nationally rather than Donald Trump? That's the point that we're making. Imagine what it would be like to have a president who understands stuff. That's the point. You don't have to agree with everything that Andrew Cuomo has ever said. Daniel Krieger says, lucky to still have my job. We'll keep supporting you. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Ms. Smith says, thank you for keeping it sane. Clayton Sackett says, trying to support you the best I can, my man. I joined yesterday, but I'm curious, what perks do I have now? How do I utilize them? Oh, sorry. Hold on a second. We do have to, let me see here. We've got to just ban some people. We have the amount of toxic trolling on the YouTube channel is crazy. Hey, can a moderator ban the user Alexander Jones, who's just putting the same message over and over and over again? And then we also have Tushar Muhammad. We've got to get out of here. Come on, guys. We're dealing with serious stuff here. Cut the trolling. For once, it seems like things are actually more respectable over on Twitch. Usually it gets out of control on Twitch, but today it's completely out of control on YouTube. Clayton says, what perks do I get? How do I utilize them? So if you mean that you joined on my website, joinpacman.com, you get all of the member content by logging in and then just click on member content. If you mean a different platform, let me know, and then we can help you. Now, they're bringing a table up, and usually when Trump is around a table like that, it's for propaganda purposes. So I don't know what sort of propaganda is going to be facilitated by this table. They're also figuring out putting a presidential seal on the table. So that's interesting. I don't know what to expect, but I would expect a significant amount of propaganda. This is an element of propaganda. That table we know under Trump is an element of propaganda. It may be set up for him to go over and sign something. That's a possibility. What are they putting on there? What is that? Is that a picture of the coronavirus? What does that say? Does that say COVID? Oh, you know what this might be? This might be like a box of the very popular and exciting coronavirus product, the 15-minute Abbott test. That would be my guess as to what that is. But we'll see. We'll see. It's certainly a prop. Okay, let me say thank you to Sweet Tooth for subscribing with Twitch Prime. Also to RZLO for cheering 100 bits. Let's do some new member thank yous. Okay, I have some really, really great people that I want to thank here. Let me see here. We're about to blow this thing out of the water. Okay, I thanked Jacob already. Roland Webster. Roland is new member number 2 at joinpacman.com. Will Robinson is new member number 3 at joinpacman.com. Mary Allen is new member number 4 at joinpacman.com. Ellen Kloshka Espiau has upgraded her membership. We're going to count it as member number 5 today. Also want to say thanks to Michael Lopato, who is member number 6 today. Paul Day is new member number 7. Marie Noel Brassett is new member number 8. Thank you, Marie. Very much appreciate that. Ricardo Diaz is new member number 9 today at joinpacman.com. Alexander Hofstra. I think of a professor when someone says Alexander Hofstra. New member number 10. Also want to say thanks to Fabian Schlapfer, who is new member number 11 today at joinpacman.com. Really appreciate it. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, we're doing what we can here at the show. We've not, done any layoffs or hour reductions, but YouTube revenue is down about 35% because advertisers are pulling out of YouTube. We lost one and a half important advertisers that are saying nobody's buying our stuff right now, so we need to postpone more ads. So we are really increasingly dependent on the memberships on the website, which is that's the way the system's designed. The way we designed everything is we have all these revenue sources that go up and down, they're unpredictable. But the idea is we control the process on our website. That's where people can always sign up, and it's not subject to an algorithm or advertisers or whatever the case may be. And yes, the coupon code 2020 now is not means tested. You don't have to, you don't have to provide any documentation. If you want the 66% discount, you can take it with the coupon code 2020 now, available at any time, literally at any time of day. Okay, other super chats coming in. Fredro says, thanks for all the great coverage. Glad to help you out moderating. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Fredro. Appreciate that. Charlie says, David, are you Bitcoin only or do you hold any other cryptos? At this point, I basically only hold, I have the big three, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. And then merely because we post on Steemit and Hive, I've got a bunch of Steem and Hive dollars, but I don't really do anything with them. One of the moves I made when the crash happened was to get a little more Bitcoin as a possible hedge. It may or may not work as a hedge. Kim.com was tweeting, it's going to be a hedge. It crashed, then it recovered. I don't know, but I am mostly Bitcoin when it comes to crypto, but it's like a tiny amount of what I've got. Walker Anderson says, doesn't the Democratic Party's treatment of Tara Reade show clear hypocrisy? As a Trumpist who doesn't fit into your three categories, I'd love some balance. Check out tomorrow's show. Zachary Monroe. Hey, Zach. Zach says, I was aware of the virus in December. My family thought I was crazy when I told them that this was going to spread outside of China. It took them until a week ago to take this virus seriously. Hashtag support independent media. Yeah, on that note, I'll turn the volume up here so that we'll hear when things get going. But I had a couple clips to play for you. This is from Donald Trump yesterday, without evidence, accusing hospitals of hoarding or stealing ventilators. Take a look at this.
Many of the states are stocked up. Some of them don't admit it, but they have. We have sent just so many things to them, and including ventilators. There's a question as to hoarding of ventilators. Some hospitals and independent hospitals and some hospital chains, as we call them, they are holding ventilators. They don't want to let them up. We need them.
Okay, and actually, that's not the right clip. The one about stealing the stuff was, where was that? Where was the Trump stealing the stuff one? You know what? I think I have the wrong. So anyway, yeah, I don't have it. I'm unable to pull it up right now. Actually, let's see. If I just search for Trump masks 200K, maybe I can find it under videos. Trump masks stealing, and I should spell stealing correctly, otherwise we're not going to find it. Here it is.
Are they going out the back door? Where are the masks going? Are they going out the back door? How do you go from 10,000 to 300,000?
Yeah, so anyway, Trump yesterday suggesting that they were going out the back door, falling off a truck. Of course, when you do the math, when you understand you need a new mask for every patient you test, you're supposed to change masks between patients in general. You very quickly see when you've got, 50,000 people or however many in New York, 300,000 masks is very, very reasonable. One other thing I wanted to go over with you guys. There is now more and more
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States and the Vice President of the United States.
Oh, it looks like things are starting. Sorry, we'll get to that later. So this time, no big contingent. It looks like it's just the two of them. Different situation. We have a propaganda table there, so we'll see where this goes. It feels like a different thing.
Thank you. Very comfortable here, a lot of room, and we appreciate you being here. Yesterday I announced that we would be extending our social distance guidelines through the end of April. This is based on modeling that shows the peak in fatalities will not arrive for another 2 weeks. The same modeling also shows that by very vigorously following these guidelines, we could save more than 1 million American lives.
Down there, Trump.
1 million American lives. Our future is in our own hands, and the choices and sacrifices we make will determine the fate of this virus and really the fate of our victory. We will have a great victory. We have no other choice. Every one of us has a role to play in winning this war. Every citizen, family, and business can make the difference in stopping the virus. This is our shared patriotic duty. Challenging times are ahead for the next 30 days, and this is a very vital 30 days. We're sort of putting it all on the line. This 30 days, so important because we have to get back.
Yes.
But the more we dedicate ourselves today, the more quickly we will emerge on the other side of the crisis.
Guess it's not a hoax.
And that's the time we're waiting for. The more we commit ourselves now, the sooner we can win the fight and return to our lives, and they will be great lives, maybe better than ever. Today we reached a historic milestone in our war against the coronavirus. Over 1 million Americans have now been tested, more than any other country by far, not even close, and tested accurately. And I think what I'd like to do is ask
Not per capita.
Secretary Azar, who's done a fantastic job, to come up and just say a few words about the fact that we reached substantially now more than 1 million tests. Please. Thank you, Alex.
Low per capita, of course.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership in marshaling all the resources that we have for this unprecedented testing effort.
That's
and
a
thank
lot.
you, Mr. Vice President, for leading a whole-of-economy approach to testing. As the President mentioned today, the United States hit more than 1 million samples tested, a number that no other country has reached. We're now testing nearly 100,000 samples a day, also a level that no other country has reached. I want to thank every partner that has been involved in this effort. That includes all of the men and women of the FDA and the CDC, including Director Redfield and Commissioner Hahn. Together, the FDA and CDC have worked to balance the need for testing on an aggressive scale with the scientific rigor that Americans expect. Working with our testing coordinator, Admiral Giroir, they have now truly unleashed the ingenuity of the private sector and our state and local leaders, the centerpieces of America's historic approach to testing. I want to thank those state and local leaders who've used their on-the-ground resources and knowledge to lead testing and make it much more easily accessible to the Americans who need it. I'm also grateful to FEMA, with whom we're now working closely to get state and local partners what they need. I also want to thank CMS, where Administrator Verma has given healthcare providers unprecedented flexibility to scale up capacity for testing and treatment and has ensured that tests will be paid for. Finally, we would not be where we are today without the many American companies, entrepreneurs, and scientists who have worked day and night to develop, as of today, 20 different emergency testing options. With the FDA responding to requests for authorization typically within 24 hours, the number of options is growing nearly every day. FDA has also opened up new options for using the available tests, like self-swabbing, and new options for reagents.
Swab.
I also want to thank FDA and other components of HHS for incredibly rapid action on other tools that we need. This weekend, we actually worked to secure 30 million tablets from Sandoz and 1 million tablets from Bayer of hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine, which are potential COVID-19 treatments.
Would be good to know more
we
about that.
authorized Battelle's new decontamination machines, which can each sterilize thousands of essential N95 masks for reuse every day. So thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership, and thank you to everybody who's played a part in getting us where we are today. Thank you.
By the way, tons of talk about shipping things to places and also about securing things. I want to actually see things delivered. I want someone to say we received.
Minute test, highly accurate, and I maybe can show that as we listen to our FDA commissioner, the job he's done, and the approval process. We talked about the chloroquine and the hydroxychloroquine just now. I thought that I'd mention it, but Alex has already done that. But we have that now under test with 1,100 people in New York, and it was only the fast approval by FDA that allowed us to do that. It was a really rapid approval. And Doctor, please say a few words. And this is the first one on the line of the 5-minute test.
So as I pointed out, that was likely that quick test.
Thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership. Thank you, Mr. Vice President, for your leadership of the task force. I'm very proud of FDA's staff's work in the last few months to expedite the availability of testing in this country. I'm also incredibly appreciative of private industry's ingenuity and willingness to work with us quickly to develop and distribute those tests. We've had a substantial addition to testing with the authorization of point-of-care tests, especially the Abbott point-of-care test, which the President has pulled out of the box. A point-of-care test is a test that gives you a result where you're getting care. This is truly a patient-centered approach, whether it's the doctor's office, a hospital, an emergency room, an urgent care center, or a drive-by testing site.
This is a big deal.
Just like tests for flu or strep, where you go to the doctors, you get the test done, you can get an answer within minutes of having this test done. Now, with those tests being approved for Abbott and for others, these are available around the country. They're planning to scale up the number of tests that can be put out throughout the country over the next month, and patients can get the answer within as little as 15 to 5 minutes. And then, of course, an appropriate plan of treatment can be given. We at FDA are working quickly with Abbott as well on other testing approaches, and normally these tests take months to develop. I was on the phone today with the Abbott CEO. He told me that normally this is a 9 to 12 month approach to developing a point-of-care test. They did this in collaboration with FDA and U.S. government within weeks. Abbott has shared that they will be delivering these tests tomorrow, and then we'll be ramping up. Just to emphasize one thing, the most innovative and safe products come from the private sector in partnership with government.
Always have to mention the private sector.
Approach, just like in this case. And the other point here is that Abbott and FDA worked together to make sure that we had a fast, reliable, and accurate test to market. Thank you.
Thank you, Dad. Great job.
Exciting new product for coronavirus
Really great
customers.
job. Thank you, Steve. So, the pharmaceutical company Sandoz has been working with us very closely. And as Alex mentioned a little bit, 30 million doses of the hydroxychloroquine to the United States government has been given. And Bayer has donated 1 million doses of the chloroquine, which will soon be distributed to states and state health officials around the country. Teva Pharmaceuticals is also donating 6 million doses of hydroxychloroquine to U.S. hospitals, 6 million doses. So the private sector, as you'd say, Steve, it's been amazing what's happened, really amazing. And we're going to introduce you to some of the greatest business executives in the world today, no matter where you go. And they're going to say a little bit about what they're doing.
Great
And
commercials.
then we have so many more. The FDA has also authorized the Batil's N95 respirator mask sterilization kits. It's an incredible thing. I've been asking, why are we throwing these masks away? You look at some of these masks and they're significant pieces of equipment, and I say, how come you throw them away? Why aren't they using sterilization techniques? And
Genius.
I got a call from Mike DeWine, the governor of Ohio, and he's a tremendous guy, tremendous governor, and he said, we have a company named Batil, and they're having a hard time getting approval from the FDA, and I called up Dr. Hahn, and within a very short period of time, they got the approval. Steve, we really appreciate it. I want to thank Mike, and I want to thank Steve, and they're going to be able, each machine now can disinfect 120,000 masks per day. Now think of that. Each machine can disinfect 120,000 masks per day. It'll be just like a new one. It can go up to about 20 times for each mask. So each mask can go through this process 20 times. And they have 2 in Ohio, 1 in New York, and 1 will soon be shipped to Seattle, Washington, and also to Washington, D.C. So that's going to make a tremendous difference on the masks. This morning I spoke to our nation's governors to help each state get the medical supplies they need. And yesterday, Vice President Mike Pence asked our nation's hospitals to begin reporting total bed capacity, ICU bed capacity, ventilator capacity, and vital medical supply levels on a daily basis.
Yes.
And Mike, thank you for the great job. Thank you very much. In New York, the 2,900-bed hospital under construction, which is now completed. They completed it in 3 days, you might say 3.5 days, at the Javits Center. Will be completed today. And when you look, so they're going up. I think we're going to be adding some more beds, which will be completed today. And we've opened up, whoops, there goes our box.
The hair's getting a little crazy.
And
Yeah,
my
you're going
hair's
to have to
blowing
hold that
around.
down.
And it's mine. The one thing you can't get away with, if it's not yours, you got a problem if you're president. And nearly 3,000 medical beds will become operational. The U.S. Navy ship Comfort also arrived today, equipped with 12 operating rooms and 1,000 hospital beds. Work has begun on additional temporary hospital sites, including a 600-bed capacity nursing home facility in Brooklyn and numerous floors of a high-rise building on Wall Street. So it's been really pretty amazing what they've done. The Army Corps of Engineers, what they've done, they just completed, think of it, a 2,900-bed hospital in New York in just about 3 days, maybe 4 days. And the whole city's talking about it. On top of that, we floated in a great ship, which is going to be 1,000 rooms, which is being used for patients outside of what we're focused on, and that will free up a lot of rooms for what we're focused on. So it's been great. The Army Corps of Engineers has awarded contracts for the construction of alternate care facilities also at the State University at Stony Brook, State University Old Westbury, and the Westchester Community Center. We're sending 60 ambulances to New York City today. We have a total of 60. We're getting some additional ones, with up to 190 more to follow at different locations. To date, FEMA has obligated more than $1.3 billion in federal support to the state of New York. So we're spending a lot of money in New York. It's a hotbed. There's no question about it. And we're spending a lot of time, effort on New York, New Jersey. Spoke with Governor Cuomo a lot. Spoke with Governor Murphy a lot in New Jersey. And we're really getting the job done. People are very impressed, and I'm very impressed by the people in FEMA, the people in the Army Corps of Engineers, because what they've done, I've never seen anybody do anything like it. In addition to the 8,100 ventilators that we've already delivered over the next 48 hours, we're delivering more than 1,000. We're going 400 ventilators are going to Michigan very shortly, 300 going to New Jersey, 150 ventilators to Illinois, 150 to Louisiana, and 50 to Connecticut. FEMA and HHS already delivered 11.6 million N95 respirators, 26 million surgical masks, 5.3 million face shields, 4.4 million surgical gowns, and 22 million gloves. And I don't know if you just saw, it just came over the wires that Ford just announced just a little while ago that they will produce, along with General Electric Healthcare, 50,000 ventilators, and they're going to be doing it in less than 100 days. And top of that, we have other companies that are doing ventilators, including General Motors. But we have 9 other companies doing ventilators. As we outpace what we need, we're going to be sending them to Italy. We're going to be sending them to France. We're going to be sending them to Spain, where they have tremendous problems, and other countries as we can.
Now things are starting to
But
happen.
the fact that we're doing so many so quickly is a tribute to our great companies. More than 14,000 National Guard members have
Now that there's money to be made, things are rolling, guys.
helped supplement state and local efforts to distribute personal protective equipment, where we're sending a lot. We have plane loads coming in. We have 51 loads from various locations all around the world, and they're landing. We had our first big cargo plane land this morning, and we're getting it from all over the world. And we're also sending things that we don't need to other parts. I just spoke to the Prime Minister of Italy, and we have additional capacity. We have additional product that we don't need. We're going to be sending approximately $100 million worth of things, of surgical and medical and
Elements of
hospital
medical
things to Italy.
medical things.
And
Huge loads
Giuseppe
of
was
medical.
very, very happy. I will tell you that they're having a very hard time. Joining us this afternoon are CEOs of the great American companies that are fulfilling their patriotic duty by producing or donating medical equipment to help meet our most urgent needs. What they're doing is incredible. And these are great companies. Darius Domchek of Honeywell, you know that. And Darius has been somebody that I've dealt with in the past.
Dealt with.
And he's a great leader of a great company. Deborah Waller of Jockey International. A friend of mine, Mike Lindell of My Pillow. Boy, do you sell those pillows?
Oh, God,
It's
not the My Pillow,
unbelievable
dude.
what you do. David Taylor of Procter & Gamble. And Greg Hayes of United Technologies Corporation. And I just want to tell all of you that America is very grateful to you and what you've done. Amazing job you've done, and we thank you very much. I'd like you to come up and say a couple of words, if you might, about your companies. Mike, come on up.
Trump already handing out coronavirus awards, apparently.
You have to say what you're doing because it's been really incredible. Go ahead, Mike.
Is this the My Pillow guy?
Okay, well, My Pillow is a U.S. vertically integrated company which has been forced to adjust to the changing business environment as a result of the pandemic. My Pillow is uniquely positioned as a U.S. company that functions as a manufacturer, logistics management distributor, and direct-to-consumer. Given our current business lines, we are experiencing the effects of this pandemic firsthand. But My Pillow is done. We've established an internal task force which is monitoring future needs of companies across the country as a result of this pandemic. And given our position, we've begun to research and develop new protocols to address the current and future needs of U.S. businesses across multiple sectors. How companies are going to prepare themselves when they once again open up and changes to their current operations in order to adjust to future threats and pandemics. My Pillow has designated some of its call center to help U.S. companies navigate the many issues that resulted from this pandemic. We've dedicated 75% of my manufacturing to produce cotton face masks. Up to in 3 days, I was up to 10,000 a day. By Friday, I want to be up to 50,000 a day. I'm proud to manufacture our products in the United States, and I'm even more proud to be able to serve our nation in this great time of need. Thank you, Mr. President, for your call to action, which has empowered companies like My Pillow to help our nation win this invisible war. Now I wrote something off the cuff, if I can.
The
read it.
war's not invisible. The virus is invisible.
God gave us grace on November 8, 2016 to change the course we were on. God had been taken out of our schools and lives. A nation had turned its back on God. And I encourage you to use this time at home to get back in the Word, read our Bibles, and spend time with our families. Our president gave us so much hope where just a few short months ago, we had the best economy, the lowest unemployment, and wages going up. It was amazing. With our great president, vice president, and this administration, and all the great people in this country praying daily, we will get through this and get back to a place that's stronger and safer than ever.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Someone reset the
I
simulation.
did not know he was going to
please.
do that, but he's a friend of mine, and I do appreciate it. Thank you, Mike, very much. Please.
First of all, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, the entire administration, and all the agencies, thank you for your strong leadership during this time of crisis. It is noticed, and it's making a difference.
Wow.
Second of all, I'd like to say a big thank you to all the healthcare workers out there. You're putting yourself in harm's way every day, and we really respect what you're doing, and we couldn't be thankful enough for it. And I can tell you that more help's on the way.
How is that
We as
happening?
Honeywell, we're an industrial technology company. And one of the businesses that we're in, we protect the industrial worker. But what we're doing today is we're repurposing a lot of that equipment to serve the healthcare worker. A few days ago, we announced the startup of a new manufacturing facility in Rhode Island. We're going to be hiring 500 employees. We have already 200 on board, and we're going to be starting the production of N95 masks within the next 2 weeks. Furthermore, today we're announcing the startup of another manufacturing facility in Arizona. We're going to be hiring another 500 people, and we're going to be starting up production in that facility by the middle of May. So in total, we've doubled our production of N95 masks already. It's going to double again within the next 60 days, and then within the next 90 days, we're going to have 5x the capacity we do today. Furthermore, we're going to be providing other safety equipment to support all the efforts going on. Lastly, I would say a big thank you to all the Honeywell employees, and also announce a $10 million fund for them, for all the hourly and administrative employees who are having a hard time during this time of crisis. Thank you, Mr. President.
Fantastic. Thank you. Normally I'd shake his hand, but we're not supposed to do that anymore. So that's okay. Great
Oh,
job.
boy.
Thank you to Honeywell. Please go ahead, Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. President and Mr. Vice President, on your guidance during this unprecedented time. And I'm very honored to be here today. Founded by a minister 144 years ago, Jockey International is a family-owned company headquartered in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Since 1876,
Cool
we have
cross.
been providing socks and underwear for generations of families. It is part of our DNA to roll up our sleeves and help our country in her time of need. During World War II, we made parachutes for the military. And today we are eager to serve this great country by providing support for the healthcare workers on the front lines of this fight. As the President and Vice President have said, it's a whole of America approach, and we are committed. Jockey has had a long-standing partnership with Encompass Group, headquartered in Georgia, serving the healthcare community. When we learned of the critical need for PPE, we knew we had to help. That meant restarting production on Tier 3 isolation gowns. Monumental lifting by Jockey, Encompass,
Are the commercials almost over?
FDA was done in just a few days to be production ready. As a result, we expect to begin delivering 30 to 50,000 gowns per week, helping those that need it the most right now. In addition, this week, we are also donating 10,000 units of scrubs to the frontline doctors and nurses at the Javits Convention Center in New York City. We would not have been able to do this without the collaboration of the administration, representatives from the federal agencies, and Congressman Brian Stiles. Thank you very much, Mr. President and Mr. Vice President.
Ad blocks not stopping this.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, for bringing us together today. I'm proud to be able to represent the men and women of Procter & Gamble, who every day, 24 hours a day, are working to build and make essential cleaning products, hygiene products, and healthcare products for families everywhere. These include healthcare workers and for institutions that are serving those on the front line.
This guy's got a weird look.
P&G people are the faces of brands you know and trust. Brands like Tide, Pampers, Bounty, Charmin, Mr. Clean, and Vicks. In addition to making, packing, and shipping these essential items, they've worked together to transform our plants, to make things we've never made before, like hand sanitizers and facial masks. Some of these are already getting to national, state, and local agencies. Some of them are in the hospitals already. Everywhere around the world, P&G people are working every day to serve everybody, consumers, and they're working together to bring together the full capability of our research and development, our engineering, our manufacturing, and our communications capability to make sure we make a difference to the consumers we serve and to all the audience that we can make a difference to.
Right.
I want to thank them, and I'm very grateful for what they do every day in service to others. Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, for bringing us together today.
He didn't mention God like everybody else, or have a big cross hanging from his neck.
Good afternoon. I'm Greg Hayes from United Technologies. And on behalf of the 240,000 employees of United Technologies and the 70,000 employees at Raytheon, which will join together with UTC this
Raytheon,
Friday,
can you
I want
imagine?
to first of all say thank you to the President and the Vice President for your leadership during what is really a war. It is a different war than anybody has ever fought before, but it's a war that we're uniquely qualified to help.
Imagine
As
having
one
a
of the world's
president.
largest defense contractors and some of the best technology, we're using that technology to try and solve some real-world problems. Today, we're working with the Air Force to try and help pilots as they're moving medical evacuees with the COVID-19 virus such that they can be protected and that the patients can be protected. Again, we're working also with logistics, and if you think about a war, strategy is important, but logistics wins war. And it's imperative, I think, with FEMA, along with Mr. Navarro's office, that we coordinate all of these activities. Last week, we donated about 90,000 pieces of personal protective equipment to FEMA. Next week, we'll have another almost million, again, working through our supply chain partners around the world. We're also today, this week, beginning the manufacture of face shields. Using the additive technologies that we have and the machines that we have available within UTC, we'll be able to produce approximately 10,000 shields in the next 4 weeks. Again, all needed equipment. We stand ready to help in any way we can. We don't need the Defense Production Act to ask us to act. All of the people at UTC and Raytheon are focused on this war. And
yeah, don't invoke that thing on us, please.
Thank you to all of our employees for their work during this crisis, as well as to the frontline medical and other first responders. Thank you very much.
How can nobody around these rich CEOs get them like a properly tailored suit? It's very weird.
Very much. I'd like to ask Seema to come up and say a few words about what you're doing and what's happening and how positive it's been. I really appreciate it.
I hope Seema's doing as little as possible.
Thank you, Mr. President. And let me start by saying I want to convey my deepest sympathies to those that have lost loved ones to the coronavirus. We're all thinking of you.
Hey, you know what? Finally, someone mentions the people dying, right?
Even without it, I want to send a message of gratitude to the foot soldiers in this war, men and women that are providing care and comfort.
Uh-oh. Oh, boy. What just happened? Did we lose that stream? Let's go to this one.
To the foot soldiers in this war, men and women that are providing care and comfort to Americans.
Oh, they're all cutting at the exact same spot.
That have been affected by the virus.
Weird.
Your country is grateful. And in short, as the president has said, we are engaged in a war against an invisible enemy. In wartime, the assumptions of peacetime must be revisited and adjusted to meet the demands of the moment. And so under the president's leadership, CMS is waiving a wide and unprecedented range of regulatory requirements. Now, many healthcare systems won't need these waivers, and they shouldn't use them if they don't need them, but the flexibilities are there. In a time of crisis, regulations shouldn't stand in the way of patient care. And there are several components to our announcement today, but the first one is CMS's Hospitals Without Walls. And this is going to allow hospital systems to create new treatment sites outside of their facility to expand capacity and be able to safely separate patients that are infected with the coronavirus and those that are not. Now, FEMA is doing incredible work setting up temporary hospitals in New York and other areas. But under these waivers, we are empowering local communities to complement and augment the work of FEMA and allowing hospital systems to tap into the capacity that already exists in their communities, making use of dorms and hotels or gymnasiums, and allowing the main hospital to focus on those that need the most intensive care. There are surgery centers out there today that are delaying elective surgeries, and they may have excess capacity that could be devoted to hospital-like care. And we are also making changes to the Medicare program to facilitate testing. So some people that need a coronavirus test can't leave their home, or patients that are in a nursing home. And now we will pay for labs to go out to these locations and perform testing. And we're also expanding the workforce. We are taking action today to relax some of our regulations to allow hospitals to increase their workforce. And we're allowing a broad range of flexibilities so that we can let healthcare workers operate at the top of their license. And we are also allowing our hospitals to provide more support for our healthcare workers. Under today's regulations, they can only provide minimal support to healthcare workers, but now we're going to allow them to provide childcare, meals, laundry services. And then there's also telehealth. The president already directed a dramatic expansion of telehealth to our nation's 62 million seniors with Medicare, and we're so proud of all the healthcare providers and patients that have rapidly implemented telehealth.
Right.
But today we're announcing that we're going to go even further, and we're going to be paying for doctors to make phone calls with their patients and provide care over the phone. And we're getting rid of long-standing barriers to telehealth in the Medicare program, allowing emergency rooms to use telehealth and eliminating requirements that some visits be provided face-to-face. And I also want to mention that on Saturday, the President directed CMS to offer advance payments for healthcare providers that are experiencing cash flow problems. We know that many providers are complying with our recommendations to delay non-essential elective surgeries, and they shouldn't be penalized for doing the right thing. Now, I've barely scratched the surface of all the flexibilities that we are offering healthcare workers and healthcare systems. These flexibilities will provide a lot of flexibility from regulations that are ill-suited to the unprecedented needs of this emergency. And doctors and nurses and other healthcare professionals that are working long hours and sacrificing times with their families and risking their lives will have the flexibility that they need to confront the needs of the coronavirus pandemic. And there are many heroes in this war, but I want to take an opportunity to thank the team at CMS. These folks have worked day and night. The flexibilities that are in this regulation, and any regulation, usually take CMS a year, but we did this in 2 weeks. And I couldn't be more honored and privileged to serve alongside these dedicated public servants. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You do a fantastic job, and you're doing a great job. So we are in the midst of something that is very difficult, but we are going to win. It's just a question of when. We want to do it as quickly as possible. We want to have as few deaths as possible. And we will meet again tomorrow for some statistics and some updates as to where we are, where we think we're going, and timing. I think timing is going to be very important because we have to get our country back. We have to get our country back to where it was and maybe beyond where it was, because we've learned so much. But we will have lost a lot of people. And in many ways, they're heroes. And if you look at what's happening with our medical professionals, it's a danger. They're warriors. Men and women are doing a job that the likes of which I don't think anyone's ever seen. I see them coming out of planes today, going into New York, going into the most dangerous locations, dangerous areas, and they go in there and they just want to do the job. And you see the numbers. You see the numbers like I see the numbers. I have some friends that are unbelievably sick. We thought they were going in for a mild stay, and in one case, he's unconscious in a coma. And you say, how did that happen? So I just want to thank all of the great professionals, men and women, doctors and nurses and paramedics and first responders and law enforcement, by the way. If you look at New York and you see how the effect that this had on law enforcement, it's been incredible. These are great people. Firefighters, great people. They're helping in so many different ways, so thank you very much. And if you'd like, we'll take a few questions. John, please.
Here we go. Nasty questions.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yesterday, you said that you would be extending the guidelines through the end of April and that you'd be giving us specifics tomorrow. Do you expect that the guidelines will just carry on the guidelines that have been in place now for 15 days? Could there potentially be some modification? Also, you have some travel restrictions that come up for reconsideration.
Yeah.
The one from the EU on April 13th,
Right.
Canada, U.S., Mexico border
They'll be
on
staying.
April the 21st.
They'll be staying.
What will happen with all
They'll
of
be
that?
staying, and we may add a few more, but the guidelines will be very much as they are, maybe even toughened up a little bit. But they're having a big impact. They're
That's the
having
right
a
thing.
tremendous impact, and we're
That's the right
starting
thing,
to
guys.
see it. And that's the key. We're starting to see the impact.
This guy's a
that
clown,
they're
but that's the right
And
thing.
if I could ask you too, you talked about Ford now ramping up production of ventilators. The government is sending thousands of ventilators across the country. Clearly the supply is increasing, but when you look at the production curve against the hospitalization curve, can you guarantee that everyone who needs a ventilator in the next few weeks will be able to get one?
Well, I think that some are ramping up to a level that they're not going to have to, John, and I think that we also have kept in reserve. We have almost 10,000 ventilators in our line. We have them. We've held back just because we did the stockpile. We didn't want to give them because we don't know where the emergency. It hits like so fast. It comes so quickly, and we have 10,000. We're probably going to send some of them now We've been sending a lot to Michigan and various other states. We'll probably send some additional ones to Michigan. New York's been doing very well, but we can add some more to New York. We're adding them to the areas that are having a problem. Even Alabama all of a sudden flared up a little bit, as you saw over the last couple of days. And we'll send them down to Alabama. So we have 10,000. We kept them for this very specific purpose. It sounds like a lot, but it's not when you think about it. But we're making a lot, and when you see, you're talking about hundreds of thousands being made in a very short period of time, because if you look at what so we have now 10 companies at least making the ventilators. And we say go ahead because honestly, other countries really, they'll never be able to do it. It's a very complex piece of equipment, and it's big and expensive.
So do you believe as we approach this peak in a couple of weeks that there will be enough for the American populace?
I do think so, yes, I do think so. I think we're going to be in very good shape. And we had a great call today with the governors, and I actually said, I hope that the media is listening to this call, because it was a really good call, and that was randomly.
Governors need stuff, and Trump was saying, I hope the media is listening.
Democrats and Republicans, and they're, I think for the most part, they were saying thank you for doing a great job. And we discussed that at the end of the call. So it really, people are very happy with what we're doing. Now, the circumstances are so terrible because of what's going on. But I think they're very impressed by the federal government. I watched that beautiful ship floating in today into, weeks ahead of schedule, almost 4 weeks ahead of schedule into New York Harbor, Comfort. And I watched the Mercy floating in to Los Angeles almost a week ago. And they are stocked. They are really ready to go. They're stocked with both talent and tremendous amounts of equipment. And the Navy and everybody else involved, they got it ready so fast. It's just incredible what they can do. They've geared up. That's why, I am so impressed by the people involved. Mike and I were talking about it before, the level of genius to put it all together so quickly. This wasn't, a month ago, nobody ever heard of this. Nobody had any idea. The Mercy was...
First case was January 20.
It was in maintenance for a month. And when they heard we needed it, and I was surprised, they said, sir, we're ready to go. I said, what do you mean you're not going to be ready for 3 weeks? No, sir, we're all ready to go. It was incredible. So, and we've had many instances like this. I think the building of the hospital, 2,900 beds in a matter of days, a few days, is just incredible. Governor Cuomo was impressed, and Gavin Newsom was impressed by what we've been doing with Gavin and California and Los Angeles area in particular, but really San Francisco, all over California. When you look at what we're doing with Michigan, we're getting along very well with Michigan. It's a great place. We're sending a lot of things to Michigan because that's becoming a hotbed, especially a specific area, as you know. It's become very hot. It's become, could even at some point supersede, but it's got to be taken care of. So we're the relationship we have with the governors, I just wish you could, because we took a lot of calls from a lot of different states, and I wish you could have heard.
Yep.
Even a thing where, like, the governor of Ohio calls.
Just a reminder, because it's been 7 minutes. The question was, will anyone who needs a ventilator in the next 2 weeks be able to get one? Just so you guys know how far off course we are here.
And he said, we'll get it done, and
Blown
they
off
checked it,
course.
and they got it done almost immediately. And originally they were approving it for 10,000 masks, and then it was supposed to be for 80, and they ultimately approved it for 120,000. It's a tremendous number. And I kept wondering, why aren't they sterilizing these masks? I assumed maybe you couldn't do it, but then I'd look at them and they'd look like,
was ventilator.
It's not cloth. It's something that looks like it could be sterilized, and that's what they've done. And
it was Trump's
that's
idea.
The machine that is over there, actually. They have a piece of the machine over there. I won't bother showing it to you. And this is incredible when you talk about 5 minutes, 15 minutes, and highly accurate.
Yeah, remember, the question was ventilators.
To do as the other tests. So we've just gotten better. We're doing things that nobody else ever thought of. Please.
The DMV has issued stay-at-home orders, but Governor Ralph Northam of Virginia took it pretty far. He issued a 70-day stay-at-home order. Is that constitutional, first off? And secondly, do you think it's warranted to go ahead and issue a 70-day
Trump's not a
guidance
constitutional law
Well,
scholar.
we're letting the governors do in their states pretty much what they want with our supervision, and they consult with us in all cases. Some go further than others, as you know. I mean, I could give you plenty of examples, but I'm not going to do that because we never want to be controversial.
Imagine asking Trump about the Constitution.
Further, and people are questioning that. But look, staying at home with respect to what we're talking about doesn't bother me at all. People should be staying at home. That's what we want. OAN, please. OAN.
Uh-oh.
2,405 Americans have died from coronavirus in the last 60 days.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you have 2,369 children who are killed by their mothers through elective abortions each day. That's
Toss her out.
16,500 children killed every
Toss her
week.
out.
2 states have suspended elective abortion to make more resources
Kick her
available
out.
for coronavirus cases. That's Texas and Ohio. Do you agree with states who are placing coronavirus victims above elective abortions, and should more states be doing the same?
Lunatic.
Well, I think what we're doing is we're trying to, as a group, governors, and that's Republicans and Democrats, we're just working together to solve this problem. That's been a
nut job.
What you're mentioning has been going on for a long time, and it's a sad event, a lot of sad events in this country. But what we're doing is now we're working on the virus, we're working on that hidden enemy, and I think we're doing a great job on as good a job
I
as
actually think Trump's saying he's not looking to ban abortion.
And Deborah came up with numbers yesterday to say that if we did nothing, you could lose 2.2 up to 2 point, maybe beyond, I don't know, maybe beyond, but 2.2 million people if we did nothing. And I can't tell you what the unfortunate final toll is going to be, but it's going to be a very small fraction of that. So
Trump mostly not taking the bait, actually.
I think with what we're doing, please go ahead.
Ohio?
Please.
Are you considering at all a nationwide stay-at-home order? I know there's a lot of states that have put them in place, but some haven't. I'm just wondering if you were considering some sort of broad stay-at-home order. And then I have a question for Dr. Birx, too, if you don't mind.
Well, we've talked about it. We, you know, there are some parts of the country that are in far deeper trouble than others. There are other parts that, frankly, are not in trouble at all. So hopefully, we're going to be able to keep it that way by doing what we're doing. So we talked about quarantine, as you know, the other day. A group came to me and they wanted to do the quarantine, and I said, let's think about it, and we did, and we studied it, and by the time the evening came, it just was something that was very unwieldy, very tough to enforce, and something we didn't want to do. But we did advisory, and I think that's doing well. I mean, I look at the streets, you look at New York where I look down Fifth Avenue today, they were showing a shot of Fifth Avenue in sort of prime time, and there was almost nobody on Fifth Avenue. I've never seen that before. There was no car, there was no anything. So I think the people of this country have done an incredible job. If we do that, we will let you know, but it's pretty unlikely, I would think, at this time.
Can I ask a quick question for Dr. Birx
Yes.
also? So, Dr. Birx, if you don't mind, you had mentioned today that this model that predicts 100,000 deaths is if we do things almost perfectly. So I wanted to know, are we currently doing things almost perfectly, or are there more things we need to be doing to cap, to not exceed that 100,000, 200,000 model?
Please, come.
Thank you. I think that's a really great question. And tomorrow we'll go through all of the graphs and all the information that we took to the president for the decision. But and I just want to thank the data team that's working day and night to I usually get my data about 2 a.m. from them, and they assimilate all the data from all the states.
Data.
And when you look at all of the states together, all of them are moving in exactly the same curves. And so that's why we really believe this needs to be federal guidance, so that every state understands that it may look like 2 cases today that become 20, that become 200, that become 2,000. And that's what we're trying to prevent. And I think states still have that opportunity, but they're going to have to do all of these these recommendations are recommendations that the globe is using. And so we really do recommend that every governor, every mayor looks very carefully and ensures that their communities are utilizing these guidance.
They're really looking more like vertical lines than curves.
It is amazing. You look at Louisiana, and for a long time it was just staying at nothing. And then all of a sudden, I look one day and I see a lot and a lot.
It's called a virus.
And then it
yeah.
explodes.
Spreads virally.
Now we're working very carefully and very powerfully with them. We're building hospitals, so we're building a lot of different things for Louisiana. So it's very important. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Has warned that this could be seasonal cyclical virus. So, and maybe both of you could comment on this, and Dr. Birx as well. Are you prepared for this to strike again, say, in the fall? All the efforts that are taking place right now to contain this, to be proactive, and
yeah. We're prepared. I hope it doesn't happen. Doctor, would you like to say something about that? I hope it doesn't happen.
This is increasingly an important issue, because it probably will.
In fact, I would anticipate that would
there you
actually
go.
happen because of the degree of transmissibility. However, if you come back in the fall, it will be a totally different ballgame of what happened when we first got hit with it in the beginning of this year. There will be several things that will be different. Our ability to go out and be able to test, identify, isolate, and contact trace will be orders of magnitude better than what it was just a couple of months ago. In addition, we have a number of clinical trials that are looking at a variety of therapeutic interventions. We hope one or more of them will be available. And importantly, as I mentioned to you many times at these briefings, is that we have a vaccine that's on track and multiple other candidates. So I would anticipate that, a year to a year and a half, we'd be able to do it under an emergency use.
That's not the fall.
If we start seeing an efficacy signal, we may be able to even use a vaccine at the next season. So things are going to be very, very different. What we're going through now is going to be more than just lessons learned. It's going to be things that we have available to us that we did not have before.
Okay, please, go ahead.
Thank you. Scott Gottlieb, your former FDA commissioner, wrote a roadmap for recovery after the coronavirus.
Very interesting. I saw it.
He suggests, the roadmap suggests that everybody wear a mask in public. Is that something that the task force thinks is a good idea?
Well, we haven't discussed it to that extent, but it's certainly something we could discuss. We're getting certainly the number of masks that you need. We are in the process of talking about things. I saw his suggestion on that. So we'll take a look at it for a period of time, not forever. I mean, we want our country back. We're not going to be wearing masks forever, but it could be for a short period of time.
Oh, wow. Trump's saying that may be a suggestion.
Get back into gear.
Everybody wear a mask all the time.
I could see something like that happening for a period of time.
That's a huge
deal.
deal.
I would hope it would be a very limited
Another
period
run
of
on
time.
masks.
Doctors, they'll come back and say for the rest of our lives we have to wear masks.
The roadmap also talks about doing GPS for social distancing, maybe following people's phones, and hotels for isolation for people, giving them free hotel rooms. Are those ideas that you're looking at?
Well, the GPS, that's a very severe idea. I've been hearing about it, GPS. So what happens? A siren goes off if you get too close to somebody? That's pretty severe, but he's somebody, he was with me for a long time. They did a great job at FDA, so we're taking a look. I just received it a little while ago. He sent it over, so very good. Go ahead, let's give it a shot.
Sir, what do you say to Americans who are upset with you over the way you downplayed this crisis over the last couple of months? We have it very much under control in this country. The coronavirus is very much under control in the USA. It's going to disappear. It's like a miracle. It will disappear. March 4th, we have a very small number of people in this country infected. March 10th, we're prepared. We're doing a great job with it. It will go away. Just stay calm. It will go away. What do you say to Americans who believe that you got this wrong?
And I do want them to stay calm. And we are doing a great job. If you look at those individual statements, they're all true. Stay calm.
He should have read we have 15 cases and soon it'll be 0.
No, it is going away. And it will go away. And we're going to have a great victory. And it's people like you and CNN that say things like that, it's why people just don't want to listen to CNN anymore. You could ask a normal question. The statements I made are, I want to keep the country calm. I don't want panic in the country. I could cause panic much better than even you. I would make you look like a minor league player. But you know what? I don't want to do that. I want to have our country be calm and strong and fight and win. And it will go away. And it is incredible, the job that all of these people are doing, putting them all together, the job that they're doing. I am very proud of the job they're doing, that Mike Pence is doing, that the task force has done, that Honeywell and Procter & Gamble and Mike and all of these people have done. I'm very proud. It's almost a miracle, and it is, the way it's all come together. And instead of asking a nasty, snarky question like that, you should ask a real question. And other than that, I'm going to go to somebody else. Please.
Real journalism is quoting people and asking them to react.
You expressed some concern in the past that medical supplies were going out the back door and that perhaps some hospitals were doing things worse
Well, I
than hoarding.
expressed what was told to me by a tremendous power in the business. He said that at a New York hospital. For a long period of time, he was giving 10,000, maybe maximum 20,000 masks over a short time. And all of a sudden, he's giving 300,000. And I said, no matter how bad this is, could that be possible? He said, no. So there's only a couple of things that could happen. Is it going out the back door? And I've reported it to the city and let the city take a look at it. But when you go from 10,000 masks to 300,000 masks, Mike, over the same period of time.
This crap again.
There's something going on. Now, I'm not making any charges, but when everyone's looking for masks, and by the way, that's another thing, we're making a lot of masks, and the sterilization process is going to save a lot of time and a lot of masks. But when you have the biggest distributor of product that distributes to many of the big hospitals and hospital chains, and he brings up a statistic like that, and I know you're trying to make a big deal out of it, but you shouldn't be. You should actually go over to the hospital and find out why. You shouldn't be asking me. I'm just saying that's the way it is. You should go over there as a great reporter. I have no idea who you are, but that's okay. You should go over there, go to the hospital, and find out how come you used to get 10,000 masks and you had a full hospital.
Answer, coronavirus.
New York City, always full. And how come now you have 300,000 masks? Despite the virus and all, you have three. How do you go from 10 to 300,000?
Yeah, go to a hospital at this point for no reason, potentially getting the virus or spreading it, and ask why people during coronavirus are using masks.
1,000 masks. So what I think you should do is I'm sure you're a wonderful investigative reporter. You should go to the hospital and find out why. Okay, yeah.
Your DOJ to look into it, sir?
Steve, please.
Come on, Steve.
Well, it's so bad for the economy, but the economy is number 2 on my list. First, I want to save a lot of lives. We're going to get the economy back. I think the economy is going to come back very fast. Steve's just asking about the economy. What's it like? We basically shut down our country.
Right.
And we did that in order to keep people separated, keep people apart. They're not working in offices. They're not in airplanes together. You know, we really shut it down. And, 150, 151 other countries are pretty much shut down. But here we had the greatest economy in the world. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. And I had to go from doing a great job for 3 years to shutting it down. But you know what? We're going to build it up, and we're going to build it up rapidly. And I think in the end, we'll be stronger for it. We learned a lot. We learned a lot. And I have to say, we've had great relationships with a lot of countries. China sent us some stuff, which was terrific. Russia sent us a very, very large plane load of things, medical equipment.
Elements.
Which was very nice. Other countries sent us things that I was very surprised at, very happily surprised. We learned a lot. We're learning a lot. And we're also learning that the concept of borders is very important, Steve. It's very important. Having borders is very, very important.
This rant again.
But we have done an incredible job. The economy is going to come back. My focus is saving lives. That's the only focus I can have. We're going to bring the economy back, and we'll bring it back fast. Yeah, please.
Follow up.
Go ahead.
Mr. President.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You've said several times that the United States has ramped up testing.
Uh-oh.
Just talk a little quicker or a little louder. Mr. President, you said several times that the United States has ramped up testing, but the United States is still not testing per capita as many
Right.
people as other countries like South Korea. Why is that, and when do you think that number will be on par with other countries?
Yeah, well,
and
it's very much on par.
It's not. Lie.
Look, per capita, we have areas of country that's very wide. I know South Korea better than anybody. It's
What?
very tight. Do you know how many people are in Seoul? Do you know how big the city of Seoul is? 38 million people. That's bigger than anything we have. 38 million people, all tightly.
The point is we have 340 million total.
We have vast farmlands. We have vast areas where They don't have much of a problem.
That's why the question is per capita. That doesn't apply. Oh my God.
Done more tests. I didn't talk about per capita.
It's a
we
per
have
capita
done more
question.
tests by far than any country in the world, by far. Our testing is also better than any country in the world. And when you look at that, as simple as that looks, that's something that's a game changer.
Oh, dear
and every
God.
country wants that, every country. So rather than asking a question like that, you should congratulate the people that have done this testing, because this administration inherited a broken system, a system that was obsolete,
Obama.
a system that didn't work. It was okay for a tiny, small group of people, but once you got beyond that, it didn't work. We have built an incredible system to the fact where we have now done more tests than any other country in the world.
Not per capita.
And now the technology is really booming. I just spoke to, I spoke to a lot. I'm not going to even mention. I spoke to a number of different testing companies today.
Yeah.
And the job that they've done and the job that they're doing is incredible. But when Abbott comes out and does this so quickly, it's really unreal. In fact,
can we blame this on
one
Hillary?
company I have to say that stands out in the job, and I think I can say this, I don't want to insult anybody else, but Roche. Roche has been incredible in the testing job they've done, and they're ramping it up exponentially. It's up. And you should be saying congratulations instead of asking a really snarky question, because I know exactly what you mean by that. You should be saying, congratulations to the men and women who have done this job, who have inherited a broken testing system.
Journalists should just congratulate Trump.
And if you don't say it, I'll say it. I want to congratulate all of the people. You have done a fantastic job, and we will see you all tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, what a weird, particularly unhinged press conference. A very, very strange situation. And since it was a shorter one, I'm going to stay and do super chats and thank people. So stick around. Make sure if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button and hit the subscribe button. A lot of people visibly shaking their heads, hopefully stunned by Donald Trump's bizarre, childish, and ignorant behavior, but all extraordinarily very, very strange. If you're joining us on Twitch, make sure to follow. If you're joining us on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. Very, very important. Likes and subscribes mean another stream tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. Is this no, that's not My Pillow guy. Sorry. When the My Pillow guy talked about God, that was the craziest moment. Let me see if I can find that. My Pillow God, basically saying Trump was heaven sent. Here he is.
The cup, if I can read this.
This was nuts.
God gave us grace on November 8, 2016 to change the course we were on. God had been taken out of our schools and lives. A nation had turned its back on God. And I encourage you to use this time at home to get back in the Word, read our Bibles, and spend time with our families.
Yeah.
Our president gave us so much hope. We're just a few short months ago.
Anyway, I think you guys get it. Just like a complete and utter disaster of every single kind, and very, very wild and wacky, and just who knows who knows what of that was planned in advance. And the guy, it is just a disgusting, disgusting guy who I hope makes the masks, right? I mean, make the masks. Of course, everybody make the masks. Let me say thank you to some new members. I want to thank some very, very important people. Teresa Banks is new member number 12 today at joinpacman.com. Jordan Balance is new member number 13 today. Thank you, Jordan. Alexander, I already think that's a duplicate there. Hold on a second. William McKenna is new member number 14 today. Thanks, William. Sheila Swanberg is new member number 15 today. Also want to say thanks to Tammy Hauser, who's new member number 16 at joinpacman.com. Don Dawson is new member number 17 today. Allison Woodward, new member number 18. Eric Bishop is new member number 19. James DeRose is new member number 20. Marty Odendahl is new member number 21. Thank you so much. Also want to say thanks to John Watkins, new member number 22, and Raghu Ariga is new member number 23 today. Can't forget about Joseph Anderson, new member number 24, and Nate Barton, number 25, Wow. 25 on the dot. Let's go for 50, my friends. And as I mentioned, we are now. Last week we were in pretty good shape, but we're getting hit pretty hard because of the virus. We had some advertisers sadly drop out. We had we're down about 35-40% in YouTube revenue. So really, we're counting on folks who are signing up for memberships during streams, quite frankly, to sort of level things out so that we don't do any. We've not laid anybody off. We've not cut hours, or we've not done anything like that. Let me say some Twitch thank yous. Noctelia, as well as Aussie Boy and J Square, as well as a user who goes by the name Why Am I Sticky? Jeez. And I am CompuBear sending in some bits and folks signing up. Very, very much appreciate that. Thank you so much. Let's get to some super chats. Okay. I may not be able to get back to everybody, but let's at least look at what some folks have been sending. Elim Garak says, if you want to compare what competent leadership looks like during a crisis, check out press briefings by Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern of New Zealand. Yeah, I've seen some of those. Joseph Spicone says, they say it's a choice between lives and economy, but if we let it rip and millions get sick or that die, what will that do to the economy? Yeah, you need people alive and able to work in order to have an economy. Jamie Lamy says results in minutes, make Trump do it live then. I would love to see Trump take another test. I don't think that was a working, I think that that's just the shell that they showed. Sam Dean says, in my opinion, Trump seems exhausted, very lethargic. Per Tiren says, don't you have to verify before implementing the cure? Yeah, you do have to. And of course, we don't have a cure yet. We have some ideas of things that could be tested. Daniel Ocean says Chinese importers are now flooding the U.S. with KN95, the Chinese equivalent, at quadruple the prices while banning exports of N95. Price gouge. Pedro Miramon says that's idiotic. Sterilization compromises the physical integrity of the mask. That's a lot of BS. I've heard both sides of that. I've heard the masks can be properly sterilized if it's done correctly, right? That's not a guarantee. Zesty African says Trump has no drip or swag. Christy J says, must say it is highly nauseating to hear the thank you for your leadership over and over. Yeah, the required sycophancy at these things is absolutely sick. Let's see here. Cacus Umbra says Trump likes listing numbers, but what percentage of state requests are being fulfilled? Excellent question, which was asked of Trump yesterday. He didn't answer it. Timmy Lunsford says, how do you do this every day, Pac? Because of you guys. Thanks to you guys. I do it every day. Owl Aquatic says he must throw pillows at the press, F paper towels. Name withheld says he's getting huge kickback. Mascot says, what is happening? Per Tiren says, WTF. Yeah, these were the reactions while My Pillow Guy was on this rant. Oh, anyway, it ended. All right, very good. Almost a handshake there, but Trump successfully avoiding it. Sam Dean says, I wonder if this won't make T-Rump a hat guy, JR style. Wait, what? Anthony Sanchez says, welcome to the Coronavirus Awards live from the White House. If you have a question or comment for me, it will pop up on the screen if you're watching on YouTube and send it via Super Chat. That's what I'm reading here. Cacus Umbra says infomercial in the Rose Garden. Yeah, it was mostly companies talking about what great jobs they're doing. Robert Archer says, I figured the Sham Wow guy would be up next. I think that guy's on the left. I think that Sham Wow guy, Vincent Offer, I think isn't that his name? Anybody know? I think that he's a lefty. So I'd be shocked to see him saying Trump is God's gift from God. I think he's also a Jewish guy. So I don't know that he would see Trump as being a God's gift of any kind. Iridescent Ink says merchants of death. Adam Lasky says these are ridiculous. Economy over, people. FFS. Name withheld says, where's the Charmin CEO? Yeah, we should have him out talking about double ply. Christy J says this is a Trump rally. Just disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting. We do have a hype train happening on Twitch. I want to say thanks to Casualty, as well as Fry C66 and Rube Goldberg Machine for supporting over on Twitch. Very much appreciated. Also want to say thank you to Tyler Hansen, who's new member number 26 today at joinpacman.com. Thanks, Tyler. I very much appreciate your support on my website. Sam Dean says, there isn't any information or advice here, just product pitches and presidential praise. What is this? Did they pay for their 15 or 25 seconds? I'm as confused by it as you are, Sam. Ori Apaj says, you're the best, David. Thank you. Nabil Kavari says, Trump is pure ignorance. David 2020. John Kovac says, I performed multiple tests on COVID patients today, and there is nothing more terrifying than putting on the same N95 mask all day. Thank you for your work, John. I have multiple friends who are emergency room doctors here in Boston who have indeed been advised one mask all day, and a lot of people are dealing with that. Zero Elements of Reality says it was a beautiful call with the governors. Yeah. Soul says, I think the media makes Trump nervous. Anything other than glowing praise, Trump finds to be nasty or snarky. Pam Demonia says they better not cancel the vents if it's past the peak because we're probably going to get a relapse next winter. Yeah, at this point, we need all the ventilators. We need bigger stockpiles. States need bigger stockpiles. Federal government needs a bigger stockpile. But importantly, it's not just the stockpile that matters. It's immediately deploying them. In January, Trump should have started moving around stockpiles to likely points of hotspots immediately. Should have just been done right away. Let me say thank you to Kayla Contreras, who's new member number 27 today at joinpacman.com. Thanks very much, Kayla. Really appreciate your support today. Yolanda Belly Dance says, keep up the great work. Per Tiran says, let Fauci take the lead. That's an idea. Thanks to Shoot, Cut, Deliver for the super chat. Joseph Vanscoy says New Orleans had nothing, and then all of a sudden they had more, and then more. Yeah, this is what Trump doesn't seem to get how viruses work. He's like, some places only have 100 cases. We don't have to worry. Well, but then 100 becomes 1,000, and that becomes 5,000. It's almost like it grows virally. Yeah, Trump doesn't seem to get that still. Kunal Thing says, what are your thoughts on a national lockdown? I mean, listen, I think the next 30 days, we should take it very seriously. If it wouldn't cause undue panic, whatever the strictest reasonable measures are, we should do them. Because if we're doing 30 days, let's do 30 days and do it right. And again, as a reminder, we are expecting that the peak will be on April 15th, but understand that we're really talking about, more like April 10th all the way to April 22nd is really going to be the peak. It's really going to be a 12-day peak by all estimates. This is covid19.healthdata.org. So, we need to go fully on. And then hopefully understand that by May 1st, we are likely to be at the same level that we are going to be 5 days from now. So May 1st, which is well past the peak, is going to be worse than today in all likelihood. And this is what you have to understand when you look at these statistics and these estimates. And again, this estimate is updated every day by a medical doctor who specializes in health metrics, and we'll start to fine tune. But this is the way the curve is looking as of right now. Jaff94 says, fascinating if masks become a normal month later. Yeah, it was leaked yesterday, supposedly, that the CDC was considering telling everybody to wear masks. Then it was denied. Now Trump is saying, well, maybe we are thinking about it. That'll cause another run on masks, of course, if that's done. It's a complicated thing. Stephen K says, DPS is my antidote to 24/7 Fox News in my house. That's brutal. Cakis Umbra says, I know broken systems better than anyone. That is something Trump actually has expertise with. Gabriel Garcia says, this man just said Seoul has 35 million inhabitants. Yeah, let's see. Seoul population is 9 million. Very good. So Trump completely out of control. I'm guessing South Korea population is 51 million. Yeah, so who knows what let's see. Seoul metro area population, 25 million. Yep. Okay. So 35 million was a worthless trash number that Trump pulled out of who knows where. Meaningless number. Jenna Nix says, will fake news narrative lose water if enough reporters ask obvious questions while deaths continue? That's my hope. Sam Dean, did his bull chip malfunction at the end there? Yeah, I don't know. He seemed to kind of like lose steam on the BS. Flawed Spirit says, are we sure Trump isn't a robot? He seems only to have access to a finite number of EXEs, and they're somehow all corrupted. Dreams Thief says, didn't he sound sick? He always sounds that way, quite frankly. Drew Goo says, when will the next chess tournament be? I was working during the last one. Yeah, you know, as a kind of like coronavirus, we're staying at home sort of thing, we did a chess tournament last Tuesday, and incredibly, 500 people played in it. And it was great fun. And people started saying, you should do it daily, you should do it weekly. I'm certainly considering doing it monthly. I might consider doing it weekly during coronavirus if people really want it done, but people are going to have to email me and let me know. Like, you can't just put in the chat, do it. If you really want a weekly chess tournament, like maybe this week we could do it again Wednesday night, maybe. I don't have anything going on, that's for damn sure. We'll see. And, you know, people saying, is that more important than the virus? The whole point is we want to do things to build community, we know people are at home, etc. So that's the idea. Let me say thanks to Elizabeth Schmidt-Matson, who is new member number 28 today at joinpacman.com. Elizabeth, thank you so much for your support. The membership support, really very important to us during this complicated era. Keep It Real Cam says, when will he take responsibility for the state we are? I guess I don't need this anymore. For the state we're in right now, he has been in charge long enough to make changes. Yeah, you know, in year 4 of your presidency, talking about Obama didn't leave us prepared for a pandemic. It's like, how long are you going to do that? Matt Allen has grabbed a YouTube membership. Erythropathac says, Eric Bischoff used to be general manager of WWE Raw. I don't know anything about it. I have no idea. Sij Nordenberg has grabbed a soy boy level YouTube membership. Casey Bates says, is there anything that can be done to challenge ignorant Trump answers like the per capita question on testing? You know, there really isn't. And I used to think the next reporter should just ask the same question again. But I saw a very good article saying, you know, when you confront Trump about one lie, he'll tell 4 more lies. And it becomes a shit show. And it's like a Gish Gallop. So I actually don't know the answer. I actually don't know the answer to that. Thoughts on Cuomo-Biden swap? I understand why people are thinking about that. I don't think it's going to happen. Love Inspired 7 says, please help me understand why consistently lying to the American people wasn't considered as an article impeachment, because you'd never win. You'd never win on that. It could have easily been proven, yes, but the question is it impeachable? I don't think you and remember, Republicans control the Senate. It would not have made a difference. Thanks to Bjorn Eric Knutson for the YouTube subscription. Matt Bond says thoughts on River at Tampa Bay pastor being charged. River at Tampa Bay pastor being charged. Is that because of the full evangelical church? Pastor charged coronavirus. Let me see if I can find that. Florida pastor arrested after holding church services despite coronavirus orders. Let me find that. Rodney Howard Brown of the River at Tampa Bay allegedly showed reckless disregard for human life and put hundreds of people from his congregation at risk. I agree with it. Listen, if you're an individual and you're saying, hey, you know what? I'm going out and I'm going to, I'm going to go out and get takeout or, whatever. That's very different than these mega churches having these absolutely insane numbers of people show up. You can't do it. Stephen K says to the MyPillow guy, remember Matthew 19:24. It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. Maury P says thoughts on passing legislation on what stations can report as news. Other thoughts on how to bring back the polarized right. I have a lot of segments on my YouTube channel about the deprogramming of the right. So I won't get into it today. Will C suggests maybe Trump doesn't know what per capita means. That's actually possible. Frank Witter says, how do I gift memberships? The easiest way right now, Frank, is when you go to my website and to the membership page, you type in your payment info, but the recipient's name and email. So like you can hit the sign up button. You put in, like if you want to give this to little Sally, you would put little Sally and Sally's email, make a password for her, all that stuff. But then you do the payment info. That's really the best way right now that I can suggest doing the gift memberships. Better system someday in the future. Ricky Williams says reporters should just ask Trump to define per capita. Yeah, do you know what per capita means? Might be a better way to say it. Thanks also to Tinto Rose for the YouTube subscription. Lance Powers says, how large of an impact does pure denial have to do with our society's reaction to this virus? I think many do not want to believe this is happening. I think that is a factor. I think that's definitely a factor that is impacting the reticence of many people to say, we've got to stay the hell home. Also, Tinto Rose is a new member at joinpacman.com, number 29. Also, thanks to Bianca Sammy, who's member number 30 today at joinpacman.com. And lastly, I do want to say thanks to Mr. J. Breezy, who subscribed with Prime, as well as Daz Key and LD Hunter, Joey Jim 999, all of whom subscribed on Twitch. All right, that's it for me today. If there's tomorrow, it's a big one. They're going to be, I think doctors will actually give us data, which is what I prefer. I don't really want to hear from Trump. So join me tomorrow for the broadcast show, the YouTube clips, and then another coronavirus live stream. Remember, if you're watching on Twitch, hit that follow button. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe and like. So nothing is more important in these difficult times than subscribe and like. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We're going to continue publishing YouTube clips for the rest of the day.